Welcome to Midlife Clarity with Dr. Tracy Page, a podcast for women over 40, navigating hormones, metabolism, strength, and confidence in midlife. Midlife is the moment you start asking bigger questions and expecting better answers. This is where we stop minimizing symptoms, dismissing perimenopause and menopause changes, second-guessing ourselves, and accepting this is just how it is. Instead, we get informed. We get curious. We get clear. Because midlife isn't about hot flashes or hormone shifts. It's about energy, strength, metabolism, relationships, identity, purpose, healthy aging. On this podcast, Dr. Tracy Page blends evidence-based medical insight with honest conversations to help you understand what's happening in your body, support your hormones, strengthen your metabolism, and build lasting confidence in this next chapter. You deserve clarity about your health, and clarity changes everything. Here's Dr. Tracy Page.
Hi, welcome to the podcast. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Tracy Page, and I'm a functional medicine physician. And I'm very passionate about helping women expand their education and their knowledge and really understanding how to age well and have longevity. I'm so glad you're here. And today's topic is going to be why community matters for women in midlife and menopause. Let's get started. So this episode and topic is pretty dear to my heart because I'm an introvert and I have a tendency to introvert. And so I can fill my time pretty easily with reading and learning and working out and just finding things to do that I enjoy and exploring topics and things. I'm very much a nerd is how I describe myself, but and also an introvert nerd. So it means I can find lots of things to keep my brain busy. And what I've learned is midlife isn't really meant to be lived alone. And I have some wonderful girlfriends and friends who have really helped me see that as I've gotten older. Because I'd say probably the first part of my life, I really spent a lot of time alone. Spent some time with my doggies, but just a lot of time with non-humans. And it wasn't healthy. It's not healthy. And so I want to talk about this topic. And on my podcast cover, I have some really wonderful people on that cover because, I spend time with them. And every time I spend time with them, I always have a good time. I never regret it. And I always have to remind myself of that when I start to back out or say, oh, I'm too busy or I'm tired or, I have other more, quote, important things to do. But actually spending time with people is important. And, in reason, of course, we all have our things we have to get done. But I think this time of our life, it's even more important. And I'm going to talk to you about why. It's really interesting to know that isolation is one of the biggest health risks for midlife women. It's comparable to smoking. That's how much risk it causes. So if I told you stay in your house and hanging out by yourself and not having friends and doing things in isolation gives you the same health risk as if you start smoking, you'd probably look at me with big eyes and be like, what are you talking about? But they've actually studied this, and loneliness increases mortality risk by up to 26%. So your chances of mortality and dying at early death increase by 26% just by isolating yourself. And I hate to say it, I see it in patients that don't have a lot of community and friends, and it's hard, and I'm always encouraging them to find someone to walk with. Find a buddy, find a book club, find something. It's so important. Here's the myth. We need to retire. Strong women don't struggle alone. I think we have to get rid of that because strong women, they build support around them. Like I said, I have some wonderful friends from book club, friends that I go to dinner with, people I work out with. It's so important to build this community of support for yourself because as we age, we tend to have a little bit more time on our hands, especially as we get older. And being isolated is not good. So we're going to talk about that more today because I feel like a lot of women enter midlife feeling unexpectedly alone. Even when they're surrounded by family and colleagues and responsibilities, sometimes they don't really have those close relationships. And the truth is, midlife was never meant to be navigated in isolation. This is an interesting time in our lives. Our bodies are changing, our priorities are changing, our purpose is changing. And it's so important to have, that close set of confident and I think I call it quiet confidence, where they're your friends, they have your best interest in mind, but there's no competition. Like, that's so important in life. You need that amongst the people that you're with. It's funny because some of my older patients play pickleball, and some of you might not agree who listen to this, but some of them don't like how competitive it can be. Like, they're like, hey, I love the camaraderie. I love getting together with other couples. I love playing, but I just don't really like the competition. Like, it feels like it makes it stressful and it doesn't feel as enjoyable. So it's interesting. So, being with others doesn't always mean it has to be adversarial and competitive. It could just be fun. So I think that that's an important point to make because I've heard that more than once. So I'm definitely all for like collaboration and not competitiveness. We often dismiss the social structures that previously kept women connected. So life starts to transition and we kind of reshape our network. Like, I thought it was hard to make friends as I got older. But what I realized, I just wasn't putting any effort into it. And I think, your effort shows and grows by what you do. And I think by putting effort into it, we all can have a close group of friends and not be in isolation. But in reality, we have less daily contact with others. We have less daily contact with our parents. We shift our identity from different needs. We don't need constant stimulation. Things that are needed are different from our family. Our career demands cause us to be isolated. We can have leadership roles that take a lot out of us. And actually, this is kind of me. Like, I started with Wisconsin Institute of Functional Medicine, and that became a beast on its own and has gobbled up all my time to the point that I wasn't spending time with anyone else. I wasn't spending time with my husband even. Like, it's just amazing how easily career can take over your life with time constraints. And then we just start knocking off the casual socialization. We just stop doing it because we don't have time. Some of you may have career problems. Some of you may have caregiving issues where you have aging parents or ill parents. And I have many female patients that come to my office and they can't hardly even take care of themselves because they're so busy taking care of their elderly father or their mother who has dementia or their dad who has Alzheimer's or he has Parkinson's. And so I see this too. And then they become very isolated because their only surroundings are their work and then taking care of their family and hopefully sleeping. That might be all they have time for. And then also too, relationships just really shift. Some people go through divorce, they become empty nesters. And like I said, as we get older, we tend to not create friendship as easily. We're not as outgoing. And so that starts to fade because our social circle starts to shrink. So many friendships kind of were built on the times of our lives. And so during midlife, when we need it the most, sometimes we don't always have the same opportunities to build that social structure that we need. Let's talk about, and you might be wondering, like, why is she talking about this? Like, no big deal. So, I spend a few hours with friends or I don't. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. But it actually is because the science says it is. And I trust the science. And actually, like I said, I see it in my office every day. So connection just isn't emotional. It's actually physiological. So we make a hormone called oxytocin, and that hormone actually reduces stress in our body. It has positive effects on us. So when we have positive social interaction with others, we trigger oxytocin, and that lowers our cortisol. It reduces anxiety. It enhances feeling of safety. It also improves our cardiovascular health. So it can go right down to your heart. So spending time with people is good for your heart. And we also see that our nervous system has a regulatory component based on spending time with people. So when we're around calm, supportive people, it lowers our heart rate. It reduces that feeling of hypervigilance. It improves our emotional resilience. I don't know how many of you, but have walked away from time with others and felt this. Like, felt more resilient, felt connected. Yeah, we just had this last night. We went to dinner with some friends and some very good friends that had been with us for a long time and then some newer friends. And we just had the most lovely evening. And I will admit, I almost thought I wasn't going to go, that it actually went longer than what I had told myself I was willing to do because I was having such a lovely time. And it's just the power of good conversation and sharing stories and sharing challenges. And we're more alike than we're different in so many ways. And so it just, we left and had the best night's sleep afterward and just really felt connected and woke up happy. And so it definitely affects our nervous system. And surprisingly, it also reduces inflammation in the body. We have higher inflammation markers when we're isolated. We have a poor immune function when we're isolated, and we have increased chronic disease risk when we're isolated. And we don't have that regular connection. So they've also studied this in longevity outcomes. And I think a lot of people know about the blue zone and how people live life together and do things. But we've also know that we have in longevity better survival rates, reduced dementia, and improved recovery after illnesses when we have a connected group of those that support us, especially social connections that really focus on, healthy living, exercise. But even if they don't, they still impact those parts of our lives. So, it's easier to be healthy. That saying, you're a product of the 5 people you surround yourself with. So it's easier to be healthy and live a healthier life, especially when you have connection with other people who are doing the same thing. I have found that to be true my whole life, surrounding myself with people who don't have to be exactly like me, but prioritize some of the same things of health, longevity, and wellness really makes a difference. Okay, so let's talk about why you might want to isolate. Like, why do you isolate? I think this happens a lot with high-achieving women too. We tend to isolate. And I think part of it is we just tell ourselves we should handle this. Like, we handle things ourselves. We're independent. We're over-functioning. We're used to being the helper. We're not used to being helped. So we help everyone around us. We have this, and this is me, this very busyness armor. My husband sent me a podcast, Breaking Up with Busy. I think he was trying to help me something. So we have like this busyness armor. We have packed schedules and we leave little room for emotional connection. I would just say I was kind of like this in my younger days where I just didn't have time. I didn't want to make time. I just had my goals and ambitions and I just wasn't letting anything get in my way. But I have to tell you, my life is so much richer and fuller since I have opened up that part of my life in connection with other people. I can thank my husband a lot for that. He really has brought that into my life and shown me the importance of slowing down and making time for people and experiences. And just made a very richer life. But I too fell in this category of busyness as an armor. And it kind of protects us. We don't have to be vulnerable. We don't have to share too much. We don't have to, let people in. Some of us are isolating because we don't want to be a burden to other people. We feel like we're going to be a burden. So, everyone else has problems. They don't need to hear mine too. Or I don't want to complain. Some of us fall into this category where we just, we really want to be stoic. Also, too, sometimes it's just hard to open up. We've lost that safe space. Not all friendships feel emotionally safe and stable. So sometimes we just have superficial connections, but that doesn't always equate to meaningful change in our lives. And what I'm talking about connection, about changing your nervous system and changing how you feel and your oxytocin stuff. Because if it's superficial, it doesn't do any of those things. But sometimes we just don't feel safe to have those deep connections. But I'm trying to explain to you why they're so important and why we do need to make time for them, because they do change how we show up in the world and also our longevity. There's statistics that I just shared with you. And I want to say, for especially my high-achieving women, that strength is not self-sufficiency. Strength is knowing when you need to lean on others. So I like to use myself a lot, or my patients, as my experience. And just this morning, I got a lovely text for someone. It's my birthday month. And she's like, hey, just thinking about you, wondering how you're working on your work-life balance, because that's been a goal of mine. Is it happening for you? What can I do to support you? How can I pray for you? Just that little text first thing in the morning to know that somebody, is looking out for me and cares for me. Like, this is a person that's in my book club. And, that means so much. Got another text from somebody that I had dinner with last night, like they said, a long-term friend, and just said, hey, I had a great time. Like, we should do this again. And it was just a lovely evening. Like, it's just, those feel safe. And those connections didn't happen overnight. They just took time and an investment in other people, which, that has been my challenge because of time management and being able to get everything in. But those who really care about you, they find a way and you find a way. So I want to talk to you about the types of support that can actually help you in this area. So not all support is interchangeable. So there's emotional support, people who can listen without fixing or judging. I always joke around that everybody should have a counselor. We have a wonderful counselor that we refer our patients to. And I always say it's just such a great place to have somebody who's unbiased. They don't have a dog in the fight. They're just there to listen and really help you understand your own feelings and thoughts. And I feel like that falls under a non-fixing or judging component. So examples of that could be a friend who truly hears you and just wants to be there for you, a partner who validates your experience, I'm going to have to tell you a funny story about that. And then a support group or a counselor. Like I said, we have a wonderful counselor that we refer our patients to when appropriate. And she's just been amazing to help patients really understand themselves, which is really what the goal is. It's not really to fix you, but to understand yourself and to be able to live within what matters to you, and also to be honest with yourself and ask yourself some important questions. I had to giggle about the partner who validates your experience because I'm not easy to live with. I know that. And we had to go to a meeting in Vegas a couple weekends ago, and I was a little irritable, let's just say. And my husband, I was being irritable and maybe complaining about a few things. And he said, honey, I understand. And I was like, what? I was like, what are you talking about? You understand? Like, he just said it was so much like, honey, I understand. And I said, do you really? And he's like, well, I'm trying to understand. And I want you to know I understand. And he was trying to validate my feelings. And he said, this is my new answer for you. Because what I realize is you just need to be heard. And you don't need me to fix it. You don't need me to tell you what you should do. You probably don't even need my opinion. Let's ask. He said, but you just need to know that I'm hearing you and that I understand. And I had to giggle, but he was right. Like, I just needed him to say, I understand what you're going through, or I understand why you could feel that way, or I understand that this is difficult for you. But he didn't have to fix it. There was silence. And that was pretty powerful. And so hats off to my husband. He figured that one out on his own. So sometimes you just need somebody who's there for you like that. Like I said, there's different types of support. So there's informational support. And actually, that's what I hope this podcast is for you, is informational support to create clarity in your life and to help you understand that things that you're going through, that most women are going through, and we should be able to talk about them openly and honestly, and how we can all combat them or travel through them and understand them and make sure that we're coming out on the other side or through it with, purpose and vitality and health and wellness. So informational support is guidance and knowledge. And that can be, like myself, a healthcare provider. It could be a business coach. I've had those, and they have been very helpful. I had an amazing business coach who really helped me understand my thoughts and feelings about managing people and reacting to how to manage people and their reactions and how they show up. It could be educational communities and learning from others. And it could just be podcasts like mine. So if you're not in the office, you're not my patient, hopefully I'm giving you some informational support through the podcast. And then there's also physical presence. So being in the same space matters. I would say it really, truly matters, because texting, we've just become such a text environment. Everything's done on the computer, through the phone. Like, we really have lost the human connection. I think, we did a upgrade and remodel at the office, and we added more exam rooms and some things, offices. So we went to telehealth for 3 months. And so we didn't have patients in the office unless it was absolutely necessary for lab draw or like a procedure. And it was really interesting. It was so nice to bring patients back into the office in January and to sit across from them and to see their facial expressions, to see how they were feeling, and to really hear and listen to them, and to hug them, and to, just really be in their presence. It does matter. And if it's not you taking care of a patient like me, it could be walking together, sharing an activity like pickleball. We've been playing cards, hugging someone, touching them, letting them know you're there for them, eye contact. Like, those things really do matter, because we did telehealth visits, but it's just not the same. Like, this whole thing about people staying at home, I just don't know that I believe it's really healthy for you. Like, it's just so important to have human contact. It just has a strong physiological effect on the body, like so much so. And then there's professional support. So sometimes friends can't meet all of our needs, and we need therapy, like I talked about, our wonderful counselor that we refer patients to, medical guidance, support groups, and even mentorships. So those are all things that can help us have connection that's super important in midlife. So I'm going to challenge you to create your midlife tribe. I want you to really think about how you could reframe friendships, because midlife friendships often shift from convenience to intentionality. And that happened for me. Like, I outgrew some friendships, and I really wanted to be intentional about the people that I surround myself with. So it's okay. Like, I had a patient, I think that was her longtime, quote, best friend, or in her friend group. And she was telling me that every time she's with this person, she's like a Debbie Downer, and she's negative, and she isn't happy, and she's always complaining. And my patient said, I'd walk away from that relationship every time I would be with her, I would feel worse. Like, I wouldn't feel better. And so I just encouraged her. I said, well, maybe you need to talk to her about that and let her know how you're feeling, because I was counseling my patient on managing her stress. And this was a very stressful situation for her. And she came back and she told me, she said, I told her, if you're going to be negative and you're going to talk negatively and criticize and everything, I'm going to create a boundary, which means I'm going to stop talking to you and be with you. And then if you want to show up in a more positive light, I'd love to have a relationship with you. And unfortunately, that patient didn't want to change. She didn't want to work on being positive. I don't know that my patient wanted her friend to change, but just wanted in her presence to honor what was right for her. Like I told her, it's okay to decide not to be friends with someone because it's not healthy for your health and for your well-being. And that's what she decided. And she came back, she goes, I never felt better. Like I have a great group of friends. We have a super great time together. And this person, if she would ever want to be a part of that positive group, we more than welcome her. But if she doesn't, then we're just going to move on. And I was really proud of her for doing that. And she's seen better. Like you can tell when someone's less stressed, and she definitely seemed less stressed. So I want you to be really intentional about your connections with people and let go of some of those relationships. And that's a normal process. One thing I'm going to say, when you're working on building your circle of your midlife tribe, start small. Connection doesn't always require a large amount of people. So really, honestly, just one or two meaningful relationships can really be transformative. And I say that personally. We have a small group in our book club. Which crazy, I started it and I probably got to go to the least amount of book club meetings, but I'm changing it this year. And I'm actually hosting this month because I miss these people. Like these are my friends. These are the girls that I can let my hair down and just share all the stuff, good and bad. And so it doesn't have to be a lot of people. Like we have a small group under 10. I think we have like 7 or 8 total. And yeah. As you know, that's all you need. And I love watching how this book club has grown because each person in the book club has connected with another person and created small little friendships that they do things together. And it's just been beautiful to see how bringing a collective group of women together from all different parts of life, doing different things, but they all have a common core theme of what they need from each other and what they're experiencing. And yeah, it's just great to see and lift each other up and talk about all the things that we're experiencing, a lot of them very similar and different ways that we're dealing with it, and just a very safe space. Like it's pretty amazing. And I do miss it. So this year is my year to get back in it and make sure that I'm an active participant. Plus we get to read a good book. So that's always good too. So start small. We started our book club with 4 people. And I think our max now is 7, including myself, 8. So yeah. So it's grown to a lovely size group. Schedule connection like an appointment. So I kind of say this about exercise too. Like you really just have to change happens where effort is. So monthly coffee dates, which I've seen this happen with the girls and in my book club, weekly walks, if you can do that, standing lunch or a fitness class. So just something where you protect the time on the calendar and make time for each other. Like for book club, instead of hosting at my house this time, I'm hosting at a restaurant, someplace that we all love, and it should be really fun. And we've got it on the calendar and it's coming and I'm not missing it. Okay, so another ways that you can create connectivity, and I hear this a lot from my patients, is join an activity-based community group. So a lot of my patients play pickleball. It's like the top of the top right now of choices, and they love it because you can rotate, you meet other people. I would say some of them don't like the competitiveness. I have a few of my patients who really love it, that it's competitive, but you get to meet new people and you form groups. I would say another one for me is faith and church in my community. So you can have a spiritual community of people that you're close to. You could do volunteer work. Some people like yoga or Pilates, but you still connect with others, or some hobbies. 2 of the ladies, one used to work for me and one still does. They started crocheting together and I love that. So they meet and they crochet. And then one of them invited the other and her husband to go to church. So exposing them to their community there of Christian people. So I just think, yeah, so it's great. There's so many ways that you can slowly make connections that really can impact your life in ways that you can't even imagine. And then finally, you can always reconnect with existing people that have been in your life, and just say, you could be the instigator, want to catch up. I've been thinking about you. Let's go for a walk sometime. Like there's just so many ways that you can open that door, and it doesn't have to be fancy. You don't have to go to a restaurant. You don't have to buy something. A simple walk is a great way to reconnect with somebody. And then the last thing is always remember that no single person meets all your needs. So it's important to have at least 1 or 2 friends, different people, different parts of life. I have older and younger people in my life, and I've noticed that I learn a lot from the younger people. I learn sometimes something different from them, I gain something different. I give something different. I find I mentor a lot. And then they impart their wisdoms from their perspective, which I think is really important because I think this may be the first time in our lives where we have all different generations, like 5 generations of people in the workforce. And I've seen it even in my own business. And what's important for someone who's in their 20s is so different than someone who's in their 50s or 60s. So I think it's so important that we have connections outside of our typical frame of reference just to help us grow as individuals. And that's a great way to connect to different people, different roles, different ages. So one of the things I want you to do is to remember that connection is meaningful. Think of one person who makes you feel calmer, stronger, or more like yourself. And, give them a call. Invite them for a walk, meet them for coffee. I was going to say text them, but I want you to actually connect. And so maybe a text to get together. But small actions really create momentum in this area. And you'd be surprised how quickly it could feel better just to expand, your connections of people in your life so that you're not alone. Because everyone deserves this support. Everyone deserves companionship. Everyone deserves to be known and not just needed. Like everyone needs companionship. And if you're feeling disconnected, it's not a personal failing at all. It's just that it happens. It's part of life. And you just need to put a little effort in this area because we know it's going to make you healthier, happier. It's going to contribute to your longevity. And connection really protects your health. It strengthens your resilience. And it reminds you that you don't have to carry everything alone. So I encourage you to reach out to that one person and make a new friend this week. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for joining us today on Midlife Clarity with Dr. Tracy Page. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes where we continue to break down the science, the myths, and the mindset shifts around hormones, perimenopause, menopause, metabolism, and the strength for women over 40, so you can feel like yourself again, maybe even better than before. If something in today's conversation resonated with you, share it with a friend who needs to hear it. Midlife health becomes easier when we stop whispering about hormone changes and start having informed, honest conversations. Before we go, a quick reminder. The information shared on this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. It does not replace a consultation with your own physician or qualified healthcare provider. Always seek professional medical guidance regarding your personal health concerns. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and remember, clarity changes everything.